There are three ways we are solicited by publicity, by the media, to buy and consume products, to simplify it. The first one is the simple utilitarian one, referring to real properties of the object, no land. You want a Land Rover. The publicity will tell you it is very strong car. You can really climb up mountains. It's a good machine. Large space for all the travel bags and so on. Whatever. It refers to like some kind of properties of the object car. Then the next level would have been the one characteristic of the 50s, 60s, 70s of the consumerist society, the level of keeping up with the Joneses, status symbol, competitive. The idea there, the more subtle propaganda would have been buy a Land Rover, they would require to assert your social status. They gently, softly appeal to Land Rover as a status symbol in different modes. But I claim today something different is happening. Maybe it's not crucial, but it's more and more in foreground. It's neither the actual properties nor status symbol, competition and so on, but it's something like, how should I call it again, in this new age terms, your authentic experience, the reference to your true self. Today's publicity would have emphasized, do you want to break out of the constraints of alienated city life and feel authentically connected with the earth? Do you want to realize your creative adventure potentials? You know what I mean? It's like a way, everything is a way to be authentically yourself. The clear example of this logic, I think, is, for example, amongst other things, is organic food. I'm deeply suspicious. You really think, don't tell me that why are you buying it? Do you really believe that when you buy those, usually they are more rotten apples which cost double the price of the normal chemically, genetically, do you really think that you are avoiding some great risk and so on? I don't think you. I also don't think that it's a big status symbol or whatever. I think it's more to render your life meaningful. Like, isn't it nice you consume, but you have this deep, disgusting, narcissistic satisfaction that you participate in something great, Starbucks manipulates this nicely. Like, whenever you enter it, usually you have there some message that basically is, with each overpriced cup of cappuccino, you save a Guatemala child or whatever. The catch is that it makes it an experience ethically satisfying, life has meaning, you participate in something meaningful, it's not just stupid consumption and so on and so on. This is the reality of the end of ideology, which is, again, ideology at its worst. And this, I think, works at different levels. Now, to cut it short, so that it not be too long, I would like now to give you another example of this everyday presence of ideology along these lines, to give you a kind of a very short diagnosis. What is typical functioning of ideology today? My starting point would have been Hollywood films. I mean, I love them because they are, I think, the best tools which enable you to grasp directly in a shortcut where we stand. For example, two of the latest hits, Dark Knight, The Last Batman. Did you notice what's basically the final message of this film? It's the necessity of a lie to save the dignity of the public authority system. You remember what happens at the end? The district attorney, who is supposed to be first an ethical hero, is discovered that he really was the murderer, and then at the film's end, Batman decides to take the murders upon himself because it would have been too demoralizing for the public, the trust, to render it public that this guy who was leading the fight against crime was himself a murderer, and so on and so on. And then, my God, we ask ourselves, how did it function in Stalinism? This was precisely how in Stalinism you were addressed as a victim. The idea was, we know, between the lines message again, we know you are not really guilty, but the party needs sacrifices, because there were difficulties, and if you do not admit that you were sabotaging, then people will blame the party and so on and so on. So it's interesting that, again, the film which is after Titanic, next mega hit, focuses precisely on the necessity of a lie. It's basically in the line of the old John Ford two masterpieces. You must know it, Fort Apache and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, no? Where the message is also the necessity of a lie to ground civilized system. But with John Ford, it's more ambiguous. Here, I think, another thing which is pure ideology in Dark Knight is this, which I hated because it's even done with some pretension, as if to make it more, how should I put it, artistic. Did you notice how that's how the story goes? They tell us that in the last film, Batman, and the same goes for Spider-Man, blah, blah, is no longer just a flat cartoon hero. We see the hero with his weaknesses, anxieties, fears, and so on. As if this rendering it complex somehow makes it more artistic or whatever. I think that precisely this reference to personality, this reference to, we are not just ideological categories, we are real, warm people. This is ideology at its purest. This is what avoids you to confront the consequences precisely of your public acts. But another film where we get today's diagnosis at its purest would have been, I really like him, I saw it 5 times because of my son, small, it's Kung Fu Panda. Right. Did you notice how the film's symbolic universe is structured? That it combines in a very enigmatic way, if you notice, two opposed attitudes. On the one hand, it's fully part of this new pseudo-Buddhist whatever Orientalism, no? Kung Fu Panda, sacred, prophecy, the new master, and so on. It's all this pseudo-Orientalist stuff of fate chooses a hero, and so on and so on. But at the same time, did you notice that the film is full of cynical, dismissing jokes? Like they make, at the same time, they make fun of the time of all sacred references and so on. Sometimes I must admit it, even in a rather intelligent, platonic way, like when the hero Panda, the fat guy, before he becomes Kung Fu, penetrates the building with all those sacred objects, he sees a painting of some, I don't know, mysterious, and he says in a very nice platonic way, I've only seen a picture or pictures of this picture till now, and so on. It's elegant. But what I'm saying is that crucial is this apparently inconsistent combination of two opposed attitudes. On the one hand, all this sacred stuff, fate decided, this, how to put it, religious ethics of, sacred rather, ethics of Kung Fu warrior chosen by fate, all the pseudo-Buddhist stuff, and on the other hand, this typically Western, brutally realistic cynicism, systematic making fun of everything sacred. But are the two of them really so exclusive? Remember, if you've seen the film, the central message, I quote it. It refers to the search for a special ingredient in the film. Which is the special ingredient which makes you a Kung Fu Panda warrior? Which is the special ingredient which makes the soup such a good soup or whatever? That's the lesson, I quote. There is no special ingredient, it's only you. To make something special, you just have to believe it's special. End of quote. I think this is the fetishist spirit at its purest. The message is, I know very well all this Buddhist stuff about faith is shit and so on. I know very well it's shit, but nonetheless I believe it. And that's our ideology today, I think. We live in cynical times, but cynical times not in the sense we don't believe in anything. No, we make fun, but this making fun covers up our deeper belief, which is not explicit belief, but we act as if we believe. Permit me to quote an old, maybe you know it, story, anecdote about Niels Bohr, which makes this point perfectly. Niels Bohr, you know, the Copenhagen guy, was once visited by his friend in a country house in Denmark, where Niels Bohr had above the entrance to his house a horseshoe. Horseshoe, I don't know if it's here the same. In Europe, it's a superstitious item allegedly preventing evil spirits to enter the house. And then the surprised friend asked Niels Bohr, "But wait a minute, do you really believe in this? Aren't you a scientist?" Niels Bohr answered, "Of course, I'm not crazy, I'm not superstitious, I don't believe that this works." Then the friend asked him, "But why do you have it?" Niels Bohr provided the perfect answer. It was, "Of course I don't believe horseshoe really prevents evil spirits to enter, but I have it there because I was told it works also if you don't believe it." We don't believe in democracy, whatever, but we believe that it works even if we don't believe it. And this is an old formula. It was already, I don't have time to go into it now, it was already long ago formulated very nicely by, I think it was in the 60s, by Golda Meir, at that point the Prime Minister of Israel, who was once asked, "Do you believe in God?" And she gave a very nice answer. She said, without answering it directly, "I believe in Jewish people and Jewish people believe in God." But you get the point here. The point is that she wasn't a Stalin, and to believe because of these ordinary stupid people who naively believe. Nobody has to believe. Everybody has just to presuppose that another one believes, and a belief functions socially. Like, for example, I don't know, our old stories about Santa Claus. Who believes in Santa Claus? Nobody. If you ask the parents, they say, "Of course we don't believe, we pretend to believe just for our children, not to disappoint them." Then of course you ask the children, they say, "I'm not crazy, but I believe in it not to disappoint the parents and or whatever." You see the point? Nobody has to believe, but altogether, if just everybody pretends for another's innocence to believe, the system of belief functions. And the truly shattering experience is not for you not to believe. That's not a problem for us. Nobody believes. But to, how to put it, to really assume that there is no other to believe in your place. Like, let me give you an example from cinema. Did you see, I hope you did so that I don't have to spend time telling you the story, I hope you saw, how do you call it, La Vita è Bella. Roberto Benigni. You notice what happens there, the story of La Vita è Bella. The father, in order to survive the concentration camps where he is with his son, father pretends that it's not for the son, small boy, that it's not a concentration camp but just a big competition where where you are free to leave any moment you want, but to survive it and so on, and then you get a prize. I claim the film would have been much better and more shattering psychologically if we were to learn at the end that the small boy didn't believe in it, but just pretended to believe to make it easier for his father. That would make it a much more complex film. Now, time is running. Along these lines, I wanted to go a little bit into how I claim our democracy functions more or less in exactly the same way social network. You must know the rules, but that's not enough. If you just know the rules, you are an idiot. You know, like those when upper classes still had manners 50 years ago, you remember you had all those institutions which taught you, like, you know, good manners, like, come to us, we'll teach you how to behave up. Then you do it, you go mix with upper classes, you are an idiot. Why? Because you learn the rules, but you don't learn the way you have to violate the rules. That is to say, crucial for symbolic space, and this gap is the space of ideology. Crucial for the functioning of symbolic order is not only the rules, but how we relate to the rules. There are rules which we take, which prohibit something, but the message between the lines is you are idiot if you follow it. Like, the prohibition is a call between, especially sexual rules. Something is prohibited, which means do it but discreetly or whatever.